Hi guys. Okay, got down to the nitty gritty and sorted out this Game Gear. It was capacitor problem. It's all working good now. I'll just go through a load of pictures and then I'll elaborate later. There's quite a lot to say. Hopefully I don't bore you, but I've got a few bits of detailed information, even bits I stumbled across I didn't know that I might have needed, and maybe you need it as well, but see what happens. Right, let's go through the pictures. I've tried to keep a log as I'm going, just to help you. So this first picture's this me at work, because we got a nice facility of using a microscope. I thought I'd use it, but obviously the components weren't that small, so I've done it by, naked eye. It weren't too bad. It's just unsoldering them. The one thing that you might have to be careful of is some of the capacitors. I'll go to the next picture actually. Some of the capacitors are really small, and you're going to have trouble getting them up, which basically pulling them up off the board. They're actually tacked down by a tiny bit of glue. I'm not sure what glue it is. It might be epoxy, because some of these I've managed to pull up. Some of them, or half a dozen, I've managed to sort of pull up, but it's left a part of the casing on the board. Now I haven't tried getting that off, because I'd end up just scratching the board, and there's tracks that run underneath some of these, and I was scared of messing up the tracks, and then obviously you making yourself more work. You got to connect the tracks again, so I just left the case in there. The capacitor come off with a bit of isoprop. Just touch the legs up with some isoprop, put a bit of heat on, added some solder first, and then unsoldered it, because it seemed like the solder was so old, and there was probably a bit of I don't know, maybe that some were decayed. I couldn't see it. Again, I should have really put it under microscope, but it might have done something to the solder. So adding a bit of solder first seemed to reactivate it a bit better. This is the capacitor kit I got from eBay. Now it's a guy called Simple Simon 1966. I'm going to give him a bit of a shout out because it's a good kit. Apparently it works for all versions of the Game Gear over here, the European one. I'm not sure if anywhere else it will, but there's a free version. It's called a VA1, and there's a what is it? A single ASIC and a dual ASIC. Now this dual ASIC is apparently the first version. Sorry, the double ASIC. The double ASIC is the first version, and the single ASIC is the later versions. But I'm not sure what the VA1 is. It might be a special version, I don't know. The only thing is this kit does all apart from the special edition Game Gear, so it might be worth just contacting him on eBay, dropping him a line. Obviously there's other kits out there, but this guy seemed like he had everything. And like I say, you can see the paper there. He's got a capacitor list laid out that I just worked from. Again, all the info's there, and they work with every single version. I thought, well, for the sake of £6, free postage, I might as well just get one that does the lot. I had a couple of capacitors left over, but no, yeah, it was a good kit. So basically, I've just got pictures of me. This one's where I've removed the first capacitor, cleaned it out of isoprop after desoldering, and I used a bit of desoldering wick as well, which is a bit of copper, tiny bit of copper ribbon you pull out of a case, and you use a soldering iron to heat it up, and it absorbs all the solder basically, and then you just add new solder to the board as you put the capacitor on. I'm not going to talk too much because on the last video I did. This first capacitor that went on this picture, just half the capacitors are on. If you looked at the first pictures, they're little squarey black things. On here, these are like the normal cylindrical capacitors you get. I've fitted them in as nice as I could and done a proper solder job. again, it's fiddly work, but just be careful with your soldering. I don't want to burn too much. I was quite lucky. Didn't really burn anything, to be honest, don't think. This is just me showing the remnants of... Oh, yeah, that's why I took this. The little capacitor at the bottom, that's the capacitor that was so stuck to the board. They have like, just one thing, they got a bit of epoxy stuck under the underside, so you can't just pull them up. When I started unsoldering them, I tried pulling it up. Alright, why is it not unsoldering? And I found out as epoxy or whatever it is to stick them down. So just give them a little bit of a pull. I couldn't use my tweezers, it didn't have enough oomph in, and I use a pair of wire cutters. I just grabbed the edge carefully and just pulled them up till they clicked. Some of them pulled away, but that little one at the bottom, 9 times out of 10, there's about 11 capacitors. It sounds silly, doesn't it? About half of them come off the board and they left a little bit of their casing on the board. Now I thought, I'm not going to clean the glue off and that because I might just scratch the board. So I left it on there, and it's flat enough for the capacitor, the new capacitor, to just lay over onto it. So again, you can't really see it in a picture, and the capacitor's laying on it. So I thought, well, what the hell, just leave it. For the sake of you scratching the board and causing more problems. I noticed that sometimes where the capacitor's laying, there's 3 or 4 traces going right underneath, so you don't want to start messing about trying to pull it all up and messing your traces up. You're just going to make more work for yourself. I had to come home. It was getting late, and my workmate wanted to leave, so he'd done a bit of overtime, so I had to change location. It was a bit of a nightmare when I got home because my soldering gear is not as advanced as works. I should really update it all, really, but it turned into a bit of a nightmare. And especially the soundboard, it's so fiddly, and the capacitors on there were so small. Trying to get them off it took me hours. Eventually I got there, but yeah, it's just a shame I had to leave work and down tools and go to lesser tools. I think this is the final picture. Notice everything to the left's changed and everything to the right. I think there's only 2 capacitors on the right. That have been replaced. The only other places that need doing is on the other part of the Game Gear, which is the soundboard. The power board's normally okay, it's got normal capacitors on, so it was just over to the soundboard then, which is probably going to be the next picture. There we go. So you can see 4 there, they all need doing. 5, 3 up the top, 1 in the middle and 1 on the bottom right. And you can see the one on the bottom right has started leaking. I had no sound at all on this. And I'll just go to the next picture, I'm not going to ramble on. That's after I fixed everything and put it all back in ready. Right, I've took a picture of this because there's 2 capacitors here. When the case goes on the top, the screen comes back to the bottom case. You notice there's a shielding at the back. There's 2 capacitors that sit upright. Now, I've had to bend these over. So when you put these 2 in, I'd lay C1 down like this. And I'd lay C2 like this. Because when I fit them, I had to bend 2 over. And it was too late, I didn't want to unsolder it. But luckily the shielding on the back, I mean, it goes up slightly, but when the case comes back over to fit back onto the bottom side, before screwing all back up ready to go, there's a hell of a lot of headroom for the capacitors, so it's not too bad. As long as you do bend them over, or put them the way I advised, just so you don't make my mistake. There's still a bit of height. I mean, mine went back together with them bent over, but I just don't like the look of it, to be honest. Okay, so hours of trying to sort this out. Let's see how it goes. Hey. Oh, we got sound as well. Brilliant. Brilliant. Looking good. Nice. Try the sound. Volume works. Try the brightness. There we go. The brightness is working. Oh, it really works well. Yeah, not bad, not bad. It's a bit better sitting here, but the camera's having troubles. Well, there you go, brilliant. Now, the only trouble I am having is it's not working via the power brick. It was before, so I'm gonna have to look into that. But yeah, no, that's job done. Hope this helps some people. See you later. Let you get on. Okay, so I found the power problem. The power adapter I was using was an aftermarket Sega power adapter, so I've got one running now. This one powers straight up, so just after reading a couple of bits online, the power light was flashing with one game, which meant it was a bit dirty. I've cleaned it and it's fine. But this is you know, this is fine. This is another adapter I've had for a while. But yeah, all good still. So it's nothing wrong with the power or any of the fixing I've done. So yeah, good. So I'm quite happy with it. It's just that I need a normal or original power supply. So yeah, all good. It's 666. Thanks a lot. Happy gaming.